Hello, my name is Monica. I decided to choose two joyful moments of my life. The first one being my daughter being born, and the second one being the love of my life. I know, it's crazy, but here we go. So I was pregnant, and we were over at my sister-in-law's house. It was me, my ex, my now ex, and his wife, and their three kids, and she was also pregnant at the time too. And then it was my sister-in-law, and then it was her two kids, her husband, and her mom. We were all in the house at the same time together because it was just like a family get together or something like that. I really don't recall too well about it. But anyway, we were playing Phantasy Star Online, and all of a sudden I could breathe again. Because, I mean, like when you're pregnant, your kid just like weighs on your stomach and it's all like up here into your chest and stuff. I know it looks weird, but this is true. And then when the baby's about ready to drop, it just like, you're like, oh, I can breathe. And I finally could breathe. So I'm like, yes, I can breathe again. This is awesome. And come to find out that come to find out when we went to bed, finally, I was actually having contractions that whole time that happened. But I didn't know it because I had no kids until now. But so I went to the bathroom, did my thing when we woke up in the morning, which was about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I saw that there was blood in the bath in the toilet. I'm like, what is that? So I go ask my sister-in-law, like, yo, I got some blood. Is that a good thing? Am I okay? What's going to happen? Is everything all right? She's like, oh, okay. Go do it again, and if it does it again, then come back and tell me. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. So I went, did it again, and lo and behold, there's another thing of blood. So I'm like, yeah, there's still blood there. She's like, oh, okay, it's time to go to the hospital. I'm like, what? Yes. I looked at her like she had two heads, one here and like her regular head. Like, what do you mean it's time to go to the hospital? She's like, it's time to go to the hospital because you're in labor. Well, having contractions and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay. So we got to the hospital like around 10 o'clock that morning. So I'm in my room. They called my mom to let her know that, yeah, your daughter's having her grandchild. Yeah, that was fun. And then the contractions, they were fine at first. I'm like, doctor comes in, do you want anything for your pain? I'm like, I'm not really in pain right now, so we're good. Good. So, and then like hours later, he asked me how I was doing. Obviously, he should have looked up from his paper and looked at my face, because it would have told him then and there that I was in pain. I was in a lot of pain, and I basically cussed his ass out. Yes, that's the first time anybody has ever heard me curse like that, ever. And they were like, oh my God. So he runs out the room to go get the doctor. Well, I'm still having these contractions. My sister-in-law thought it would be funny to sit there and say, hey, why don't you do your ABCs to help with the contractions? Oh my God. So I'm there yelling at the top of my lungs, A, B, C. Yeah, the whole alphabet. And what is she doing? She's recording the whole thing. She's just recording it. I'm like, yeah, it's on YouTube. No, I'm not going to tell you where to find it, but it's there. It's on YouTube. And that's all we're saying about that. But, and then they had to finally induce labor. And when they did that, oh, I did get my drug, though. That drug was really well. I did get it. And then they induced labor because she wasn't gonna come out. And then they're like, if you feel pressure, push. So I'm there pushing. My mom's on this side. My mom's on this side. And my friend, she's over on this side. Because she's also pregnant. And they're holding my legs up. And I'm like, with the pain and the anguish. And then she pops out and she poops inside me. Babies. But that wasn't the best part. No, the best part was the moment that they laid her right here on my chest. It was like the best feeling ever. And then to hear her crying, it was like, oh my God, I made something that didn't die. My plants usually die. But I made something and it's beautiful and it's mine. And then time just slowed down to a standstill. I couldn't hear anyone or anything. And it's like I went up to the clouds. I'm like, Apollo, this is yours. You made this for me. And he blessed her with music and art and said, yes, she is mine. Love her as you would me. So I do love her. I love her with all my heart. I will kill somebody for her if need be, because I am that kind of a mom. That's why you see the hearts in my eyes. Yes, I'm that kind of mom. So that's the first story. The second story is when I met the love of my life. I'm always happy about this one because what it started off first was I was in a counseling program and it had different groups and stuff like that. And while in one of the groups, there was a substitute there. I didn't like him at all. I called him the keyboard elf. He reminded me of one. And he said something about the Bible, and then I spoke up and saying that, yeah, it got lost in translation. Man sits there and wrote down whatever they wanted to write about it, so it'll be in their control to sit there and do whatever. And then this guy who was sitting across from me, his name was Don, said, yeah, that's right, you tell it. That's just me. This is just how I am. That's what I do. And so from there, we became friends. He's like, hey, wouldn't mind hanging out with you one time at your house. I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. So came over, we hung out, we had fun, did crazy things, not extremely crazy things, but just enough of crazy things. This was during COVID also. This is when COVID was about to shut down the place. So it was around March, I think, because March 20th was my last day of work. That was it. That's when the whole world shut down. But anyway, so we come over, we would drink, we would have fun, we would do cards. It was just a fun time. And he's like, hey, I know this guy. His name is Josh. You would like him. He's really cool. And I think you guys will be good for each other. I'm like, okay, bring him over. He brought him over. And the moment I saw him, it was like the world stopped. It's gonna sound cheesy, but this is true. My heart sped up like this. And I had tunnel vision of warp 9.9 of just him. Because I was just looking at his backside when he was closing the door. Then when he turned around, everything went and I just saw his life flash in my eyes from his past, his present, and his future. And I was there with him in all of that. And it was just beautiful. I saw his aura. It was a beautiful aura. I could sit there and feel his third eye. If I put my forehead up to his third eye, but not close, so a lot right there. I could sit there and feel the eyelashes of it. And it was just so meaningful, so beautiful that I wouldn't have it any other way. But he didn't see it like that. I mean, I did ask him to marry me a year and a half ago, but he just was like, nah. I'm joking, right? I wasn't joking the first time I asked him to marry me. I was not joking. I was not playing around. And so he ended up getting into these other relationships. And then about a couple months ago, I sit there and see that he's on Messenger. And what do? I contact him hey, how you doing? He's like, hey, I'm doing good. I'm in rehab. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I did a lot of bad stuff. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? So I'm like, you know, if you were with me, that would have never happened, right? He's like, yeah, I know. And he says he missed me, and I missed him too. Then jokingly, I asked him to marry me. And he was like, okay. I'm like, what? What? So he said yes. So now I'm engaged. This right here is his wedding ring. And you guys can see it too well, but it's a steampunk wedding ring. It's his wedding ring right there. So when I see him again, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go get married. And that's about it for my 2 joyful experiences. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.